Hello again, I am Jim Bob and welcome back to Lone Oak Farm. So, we have a lot of cultivating and slurry spreading that needs to be done today. I would say a lot of cultivating, not a huge amount, but we have a few fields of oilseed radish that need to be cultivated so that we can put some digestate down on top of that once it's all mixed in. And we also have some silage to sell left over from our big sell-off yesterday, but the market still hasn't recovered that much yet. If we take a quick look at the prices on the PDA here, you'll see that the market price is still only $3.29. It still hasn't rebounded enough yet for us to go ahead and continue selling off that last little bit. I've already gone ahead. I ended up doing it, at the end of the day yesterday. So I got rid of one set of the belts. I kept one other set, so they're still there and they're kind of set up where they need to be. And then I reorganized the remaining silage in the bunker. So it's all kind of piled up right near the front of a bunker, in front of a belt, ready to be kind of put through the digestate shredder at the BGA and be processed. But it's not really the right time, as you've seen. The market is still down $100 on what it should be, at least $100 if not more. So while we're still waiting for that to rebound, hopefully that'll rebound today. If not, well, we can always do that tomorrow or some other time in the future. It doesn't have to be done this winter. But you can see our bank balance is looking very, very healthy. That's $270,201 now, thanks to me hiring a worker. But that is pure cash on hand. There is no debt on this farm whatsoever. Thanks to our exploits yesterday and the day before with our sell-off, you can see we have a zero balance loan for the first time in a long time. There you can see our total at the end of the day for Saturday, $677,490. That's how much we made in our income from milk and from our harvest income, and also from our solar panels, and then minus the expenses, for loan interest and so on and so forth. And then yesterday we made $1 million selling our silage at the BGA, and we still have 450,000 litres or so left to sell, somewhere in that kind of region. So we still have a nice good chunk of change available to us, available at the BGA, but another 100 grand or so, I would say, at least, sitting there ready and waiting for us. So we're in a very, very healthy financial position, healthy financial position indeed. And I was thinking of what we can do with our crops in year 3, because we're not going to have time to do much in year 4, if anything. I'm not even sure we're going to be able to complete all of year 3 before FS17 comes out. So I thought we'd change our crops up a little bit this year. So we're not going to be doing any soybeans in year 3, because we have to wait till the middle of year 4 before we can sell them. So I want everything that we're going to be able to work on this year to be something that we can sell at the end of this year. I don't want us to have to hang around and wait another 6 months before we can then sell it. So, instead of soybean, we're going to do some sunflowers, because we did a little bit of sunflowers in year 1, but we didn't really do that much. We had an existing field with sunflowers on. One of our starting fields. We put sunflowers on one of our starting fields, and we just kind of haven't done them since. So we can do some sunflowers this year, in a much bigger quantity. We can do a lot of corn again. We can also do a lot of canola, and I'm thinking that the fields that we put soybean on last year will become our canola fields this year. Maybe change them up just a little bit. And then we've also got some other options, let's say, by adding in the sunflowers, we can put those on some fields that we might not normally have considered. And we're going to do some beets as well, because we didn't do beets at all on this farm yet. We haven't done them year 1 or year 2, and I just kind of like the idea of doing some beet work. So we should be doing some sugar beets this year, and then that'll allow us to take advantage of the Hollister sell point, which again we haven't used because we've not had any crop that's needed to go through there. So if we take a look at the field breakdown, I haven't figured out exactly what fields I'm going to plant on just yet, but you can see here the overlay of what fields we need to cultivate today. That's fields 30/35, our new big field over here, field 34 and field 32/33. They are the 3 fields with oilseed radish on. We're going to cultivate those, and that will give us a second stage for, first stage for those fields. And then all of our fields we're going to start spreading digestate on that we haven't done already. So you can see we spread digestate on field 49 and then we ran out, and that was the only one we could get done. Now we've got pretty much a full tank at the BGA, so we can do a lot of digestate and hopefully get all of our fields spread quite nicely. It's got this awkward bit around here. Let's put a border in. Just missed a touch on the edge there. We'll have to go back and collect that again in a second. There we go. In fact, actually, while I think about it, I put a little bit of fuel in last night. I got back to the farm and I almost didn't make it. I had 1 litre left in the, well, less than a litre, about half a litre left in the tank by the time I got up to the fuel point just here, which is the only fuel point on the map. So I only just made it back to here, and I put in about 100 litres or so, and then just put the Magnum away for the night, and I didn't even think about, you know, filling the tank up. So we'll fill the tank up now, and we'll get these fields cultivated, and we'll start spreading some digestate on these fields as well. As I say, all of them except field 49 are at stage 0 at the moment. Obviously the ones that have got oilseed radish on are going to be at stage 1, and we can boost those to stage 2. The rest, well, we can't really do that much about, unfortunately, but we can at least cut down on the number of spray applications we need for those. We just unfortunately left it a little bit too late to get our oilseed radish planted. We were just too busy with the harvest to be distracted by running a planter at the same time and dealing with all the switching of fields and paying attention to that. Had to make sure that we got all of our grains in. That was much more important. So if it means we spend a little bit more this year in spray costs than I'd originally hoped, then we can, and so be it. We can afford it. You know, we have no debt, and it's so nice to be able to say that we have no debt. So yeah, I need to have a sit down and a real plan out as to what fields are going to have what crops on them, but we are going to be taking soybean out of the rotation this year and putting in sugar beets and sunflowers instead. So we'll really be able to kind of mix our crops up a little bit. Interesting, looked like there was a kind of a different line of light. It was just a little trick of the light, perhaps. It just looked like there was a different stage on the crops for a second then. Probably me just reading into something that isn't actually there. So yeah, what I'm thinking of in terms of what crops go on what field, I'm thinking 50 and 49 are going to be sunflower fields, or no, sorry, canola fields. I'm thinking 53 and 54 will be beet fields. We'll have 2 fields of beets, and they'll be good sized fields as well. And then they're going to be quite close to Hollister, so if we decide to just sell direct, you know, if we get a really good price, then we have that option there. And then for canola, 49, 48 and 51 are potential canola fields on top of, well, no, we're doing what, 50 and 49 are canola fields, 51, 48 possibly canola as well. We need to do wheat, barley and sunflowers as well, so I'm thinking wheat on field 30-35 again, 32, 33 and field 34 could be sunflower fields, and then 43 and 45 could be barley fields. I think that's how we'll do it. So we'll end up doing quite a bit of canola, and we'll end up doing quite a bit of wheat and barley, same as last year. More canola, obviously, because we're not doing soybeans, and then we'll have a couple of good fields worth of sunflowers as well. And then those two fields at the bottom, 53 and 54, I think they're perfect in terms of sort of size and shape for sugar beets. So we'll get some sugar beets in. We may well potentially have to build a sugar beet storage facility. So that's something that we may have to invest in. It's going to have to be a big one as well, because we're going to get a lot of beets off those two fields. A huge amount of beets. So this is why we might end up just selling the beets directly on harvest. Let's take a quick look actually at the predicted prices for beets for next year. Get a rough idea as to when the best time of year is to sell sugar beets. Well, that's slightly distorted. If I'm right, we had if I remember rightly, we had a great demand for sugar beets on day 4. So that's a very, very high price compared to the rest of the year. And it looks as though we had a great demand at the beginning of August as well, at the beginning of autumn as well, on day 1 of autumn. So at day 5 of spring, that was definitely a great demand. So you can see those peaks that we had last year, or this year that's just finishing, they were down to great demands. I don't think the price normally goes that high in winter. And we can kind of compare with potatoes again. You can see it's kind of a shallow sort of curve to their raises and lowerings of prices there, and then a great demand for potatoes on day 5 of autumn would have pushed that price way above where it should normally have been. So yeah, sugar beets is going to be an interesting one. It's going to be a lot of work involved in terms of harvesting, and it's going to take a lot of effort to store them, but it'd be nice to mix things up, I think, in year 3. So while our Magnum is doing that, we need to take care of our cows again, because they are almost out of food. Interestingly, I think their health has dipped 1% as they are now out of grass. They are down to 88%, and I think they were 89% when I checked yesterday. So it does look as though losing grass is going to hurt them a little bit over winter, but not too much. You know, they're still pretty high, and we don't have to really worry about them plummeting in health. If they're only losing 1% a day, we can live with that, and we can make that back up very early in spring. As soon as grass starts to grow, we can go out and cut some and stick it in the trough, get them nice and fed. So let's quickly go to our TMR stockpile. We have quite a large supply. You remember we made this. There it all is, piled up. Let's just get in and quickly clean out the trough in here first of all. A lot of hay on the ground there. And that's all of it, I think. Yep, there we go. Tip that straight into the trough, and now we can start shoveling in the TMR. Let's just get a quick look at our levels. So there you can see their cleanliness obviously just shot back up to 100% because we've just cleaned them out. Very low on silage and hay and power food, and straw as well. We're going to need to top their straw up as well, and water. So we need to give them a complete sort of clean up, and then we've got a lot of manure that needs to be taken out of the trough as well. We'll get that transferred out. Oops, I got wedged. We'll get the TMR taken out. Sorry, not the TMR. We'll get the manure taken out. We'll get it stockpiled, and at some point we'll start transferring that down to the orchard, ready for next year for our orchard to come back in spring. We're going to make so much money in this year because in terms of expenses, we're not going to have that much really in terms of expenses going forward. I mean, we could look at maybe getting a new sprayer for this year, something a bit bigger, something with a wider boom and a bigger tank, so we have that option if we want it. We are going to end up doing a fair bit more spraying than I was planning on doing because we just couldn't get enough OSR in the ground in time. But beyond that, you know, we've got a good mixer now. We don't need to buy a better mixer. We've got 2 trucks, so we don't need another truck or another trailer. We've got 2 combines, don't need another one of those. Don't need another forage harvester. You know, there's very little that we really need. I mean, we could possibly go for another tractor, but we don't really need another tractor. I think I'm quite happy to stick with the 3 that we have, not counting the 1455, our little orchard tractor. I suppose we could invest in some extra livestock this year, maybe get some extra sheep in, and just say, you know, screw the cost. You know, we want to really ramp up our wool production. Let's just go and buy in a ton of sheep before spring starts. Well, they'll end up costing us quite a bit of money, but you know, we'll make it all back in wool costs, or we'll make a lot of it back in wool costs once we start selling our wool. We're not going to be buying any additional fields. We are going to need to buy a beet harvester, because there's no point renting. It will just cost us a fortune. We may as well just buy one. But that's not going to be over the top expensive. We're talking, including the header and the header trailer, probably about 400 grand, 450, something in that kind of region. Because we're getting the smaller of the 2 Holmer ones. We could get a Terra variant as a support vehicle for that. That's something we could do. Hell, we could even buy a Terra Fellis as well, if we really have money to burn. I mean, by that time of year, we're going to. Because, you know, our Roger's going to be kicking out, you know, a lot of money a day. We have no debt. Our cows will be making money. Our sheep will be producing a lot of wool. We'll have our soybean to sell in the summer, which we still haven't even worried about yet. We still have all that soybean to sell. So, yeah, I mean, we might as well just go the whole hog and buy a Terra Fellis as well. So we're in a really, really strong position for this year. Lots and lots of things that we can do, you know, in terms of, you know, some specialist equipment that we wouldn't normally necessarily go for. The only real question is, do we go with Holmer or do we go with Roper? I don't know which one to go. I kind of like the idea of going Homer because they're red, and it will kind of tie in with the red case theme that we've got going on this farm. We could go Roper. I just don't know. I really don't know. Let me know what you want to see in the comments. Do you want to see Roper or do you want to see Holmer? Let me know, and I can't promise that I'll go with whichever was the most popular, but I'll certainly listen to you guys, and you know, if I feel enough of you want to see the Roper stuff, then we may go Roper instead of Holmer. We'll see, but no promises. But yeah, let me know in the comments if you would rather see that, because we are going to be doing beets, so we're going to need a beet harvester, we're going to need a beet picker-upper, you know, for the end of the harvest, be it the Roper Mouse or the Terra Fellis from Holmer. And we could even potentially look at a Noara Mouse as well. Again, that's kind of if we've got enough slots left. We are very low on slots, so that is something else that I do need to take into consideration. But yeah, let me know your thoughts in the comments, and we'll see how that goes. Okay, so the food trough's full. Time for the straw bedding. We're going to need, I would imagine, at least 6 bales. These cows are pooping an awful lot at the moment. And we have practically no straw left at all inside the shed. So yeah, I can see 6 bales easy, maybe even more than 6 bales being needed here. Let's see. Yeah, it's almost half, isn't it? 6 will be enough. It won't quite fill the trough, or you know, fill the bar, but it will be enough. I think we won't need to add in a 7th. We've still got plenty of straw, as you can see. We've still got, you know, all those bales just in there as well. So more than enough to last us through. We haven't got to worry about running out, that's for sure. There we go. Oh yeah, well we probably could get an extra bale in, but we'll leave it like that. That's fine. So, right. Oops. Let's drop off the forks. There we go. Let's close the shed back up. We need to do water and we need to do manure. So I'm going to need the bucket. I'm also going to need to bring the 1455 down as well. But we'll deal with that in a moment. Before we do anything else, let's get the Optum up and running so we can start spreading some digestate on our fields. So let's go grab the Optum. And this is essentially all we've got to do now for the next couple of days, is just spread some digestate and cultivating this OSR. That's pretty much it. That and just take care of the animals. So we'll start all of our planting on day one of spring. Ground temperature actually is 5 degrees. We could possibly get something planted today. You know, if temperatures are going to keep going up like this. It was 4 degrees yesterday. So we look at the planting thing, you can see here, we're in the planting window for wheat, barley and canola. We could theoretically get some of that planted over the next day or two. That might be something to do. But for now, just get this fuel tank nice and filled up so we can get the digestate down. We will actually need to take a trip over to the BGA so we can go and fill the tanks up. So we have something on hand, because we completely drained them last time out, if you remember. And that way when we do get low, or we have to do some stuff manually, you know, we're not going to have any problems. Right, that's close enough to a full tank. I suppose we could potentially look at getting a big... Well, there's no point. This is the only spreading we're going to need to do is this. So we'll stick with this Joskin. If we were going to do another year or a second application of digestate, that's not something I really want to do when we've got seed in the ground. Then we could look at potentially getting a bigger spreader. But we'll stick with the Joskin. It's served us well. Why not? Give it one last hurrah. So let's make our way over to the BGA. Let's go get these tanks filled up, and then we'll come back and we'll start spreading some goop on the fields. There you can see the remaining pile of silage that we have to sell. It's a few 100,000 litres. The belts are all in position. We just literally need to swing the main tip belt over the top of the tank, and we can start selling it, and then we can come back and start just pushing everything towards the belt as it gets put through. I've left the blade, you can just see the blade there, left the blade parked up there because we're not going to need it at the farm. So everything is there, just set and ready and waiting until the market rebounds, and we can come and sell it off, get the last bit of cash that we're owed for our big silage sell-off, and see where we end up financially after that. Certainly in a very, very strong position to buy some extra livestock ready for spring. So I figured we'd start with field 50. This is the biggest field that is definitely going to need this extra stage of fertilizer. So we'll get this one out of the way to start with. We'll run all the way along to the bottom, and then we'll do a headland along the bottom edge. We'll probably do 2 headlands just to make sure we have enough turning room, and then we'll go back up the other side so we don't cross over onto another field and we stay contained on here. And then I'll just let the worker do his thing around the islands as before, see what gets done, what we have to go and kind of do manually. This is why I wanted to have some digestate in the tank for the manual bits. and once that's done, then we'll turn our attentions to field 54 and 53 along the bottom, and we'll get those two done next. The big advantage as well of bringing sugar beets into the rotation is if we have another wet harvest season like we did last year, it doesn't matter with the sugar beets, because sugar beets can be harvested in the rain. You don't have to have dried out crop and blazing sunshine, or at least, you know, dry weather like this. It doesn't matter with sugar beets. You can harvest it while raining. So if we do get a wet season, then as long as we can get our other crops done, we don't have to worry about squeezing sugar beets into the dry days. We can do those on the wet days. It can be absolutely chucking it down with rain, and we can just carry on harvesting regardless. So that's going to make things a little bit easier come harvest time as well. It's going to take a little bit of the pressure off. Of course, we'll only have the one harvester, but we'll only have two smallish kind of fields to deal with. So it's a trade-off. We won't get them done as quickly, but we can do them whenever we want. So if we do have downtime where we're waiting for crops to dry out, we can attack the sugar beet instead. We don't even have to harvest all the sugar beet in one go. They don't have to be sold until winter. So as long as they're done during the harvest window, it doesn't matter if we do them in stages, like bits of the field at a time, or the whole field, or both fields at once. It doesn't matter. You know, we can do them in any weather. So that's going to make things a little bit less stressful when it comes to the harvest this year or next year. Right, let's turn around. Is one pass going to be enough? It might be, actually. Yeah, I think even with the telegraph pole, look, one is still going to be enough. We drop the boom there. Oh yeah, that's perfect. We just need a single headland. That's brilliant. So we can just run down this side, and then we can just run back up the top and leave the worker to do his thing once we set him off, and then we can go muck out the cows and give them some water. The first field is done in terms of the cover crop. It's time to work on this one here, and we're going to try and do the same as we did last time out when we cultivated and seeded, for that matter. We're going to run along the bottom, so we've got this nice clean edge along here. Then we'll do a headland all the way along the top of both fields, and then we'll come back down, do a headland along the bottom of both fields, and then we'll start running from this side of the field across widthways. And hopefully, as last time, when he gets to the gap between the two fields, he'll just carry on and end up cultivating both fields in a single go for us. That's kind of the plan. And that way we can kind of focus on making sure that the slurrying gets done, and yeah, we can finish off, you know, the work that we're doing with our animals. Almost got rid of all the manure. Let's just take a quick look at the sheep. Sheep are going to need a little bit of love today. We are going to go and buy some more sheep, and we'll probably do that today as well. I do still need to give water to the cows. We'll get that done as soon as I finish mucking them out. As you can see, I'm using the, or as you did see, I'm using the conveyor belt to fill the shed, just because it makes it easier. The tip angle on the Joskin KTP is just a little bit too high, so it gets up into the roof and it causes issues, especially if there's already a little bit of manure on the ground and it raises the height of the trailer up even more. There's some issues. So doing it this way, or doing it that way, it takes a little bit longer to get the manure in there, but it goes in at a nice even fill and sits within those borders quite nicely. And it just means that we have a nicely stocked shed ready for when we do get the orchard switched back on again, sort of mid-spring. I was panicking for a second. I just worked it out. The helper had stopped working due to a tank being empty. I'm like, what is going on? I've just realised helper refill is from the slurry tank, and it should be from the digestate BGA. So I selected the wrong tank. So we've drained our slurry from the main farm. It was going to get used anyway, but that's a bit of a shame. I'd meant to try and stockpile that a little bit, and as it turns out, we've used up the slurry that we could potentially have sold, and not used up the digestate, which is free and can't be sold. So never mind. We can address that. So work is back underway. He'll get that field finished off for us, and then we can start attacking those bits that he's missed. Although I am going to have to take this back and refill the tanks at the BGA, because they have drained now that they've gone from slurry to digestate. Been very impressed with our worker, actually. He's done a really good job over here, and I haven't had to do that much. So I did restart him on the other side to come back up on the other side of the far island over there, and then just basically do this kind of bit in the middle at the top. But everything else was done all the way across the bottom. That was all done, and all the way along that side and all the way on this side. So there isn't really a lot of cleanup that we have to do ourselves on this field. It's just this kind of little patch just here, just around these islands, and that's pretty much all that we have to do manually. So our worker's done us proud here, it really has. That's great. That's taken a lot of pressure off in terms of just another job that we have to do. It's been taken care of for us, and so we can just kind of unleash this guy now again on fields 53 and 54 as soon as I've done these little bits around here. Just tag these kind of diagonals here. And there's that little thin strip that I can just see in front of us there. That's where I restarted the slurry spreader. It looks as though we do need to put a thin little application in somewhere along here. It's around here. That should cover it. So we shouldn't see that pop up anymore. It just meant, although you can't see it at close range, when you move away and it goes out of the draw distance, you do see that. You did see that area pop up as unfertilized. So just to make sure that it's definitely tagged, we'll make sure we've put a line in. Oh, we missed it. We missed it by quite a way. You know what, screw it. I can't be bothered to go back and get it again. We'll just tag this area around the island. Make sure that this is all done. I don't want to burn through too much slurry. You can see I've already burned through about 5,000 litres just doing this stuff manually. It goes down pretty quick. So now I'm just searching for those patches that I've missed. There's one. This one, and then after this, as I say, we'll unleash the worker on fields 54 and 53, our two fields that we're putting aside for sugar beets next year. And our cultivator is still busy working away, cultivating fields 32, 33 and 34. And you can see he's there on 34 at the moment, getting ready to make the crossover onto 32, 33. And then all the cultivating will be done. And then we can digestate those fields tomorrow. And we'll start planting tomorrow as well, I think. If the temperatures stay good, because they are good at the moment, 5 degrees, that's the temperatures we need for wheat, barley and canola. If the temperatures stay good, then I think tomorrow what we'll do is we'll actually start planting our canola. Get that out the way nice and early. So, right, this field is done. So we're going to head over to this end of the field over here. And we have to put a headland in here again because of the fence and how close we are to Hollister root crops. And once that's done, we'll let him run up and down the field. And then we'll do the same on the other field. We'll get him up and down on that one as well. And then I think that might be time for one more field after that. I don't know. I suppose it depends on the field. We'll have to see how that goes. So we're back on a worker, so the level in the tank isn't going down. It's taken directly from the BGA now. The manure pit has been fully mucked out. I still need to return the conveyor belt back to the main farm. But we've got a good supply of manure in there. Actually, I'll probably leave the belt there, actually, because we're not going to need the belt at the farm for a while. We'll probably leave the conveyor where it is, and then, you know, as we continue to muck out the cows, it's going to be, I think, day 3 when we get the orchard back up and running again, day 3 of spring. So we'll leave it down there and we can just continue as we muck out the cows to add to the manure stockpile, ready for when that orchard does come back online in mid-spring. A little bit of lag here in this corner. There we go. Yeah, up and running again. So yeah, we're kind of done with this guy now for a little while. He'll finish this field off and then we'll switch him on to the next field, get that one done and see whether we've got time for another one after that. So our workers are busy doing their thing. Our cultivator has moved on to 32, 33 now. And our digestate is being put down on field 54. It's about halfway through the field. And we are going to go and buy some more sheep. So that we can make some serious wool when spring kicks in and they start producing wool again all the way through to sort of the end of summer. Not sure how many we're going to get. I'm not even sure how much they're going to cost. We're just going to turn up, see how much they are, and based on what the price is, that'll determine how many I buy. I'm probably looking to spend about 100,000, maybe 150. Again, it depends on how much the sheep are going to cost me. But this is our chance to try out our new animal trailer that we bought last year and haven't used yet. Our Brawn animal trailer. All decked out lovely in these sort of matching case colours, kind of red and grey, and all the yellow flashes. And kind of cool if they were white or black to kind of match the white and black flashes that we get on the case equipment. Still can't have everything, I suppose. It's as close as we can get it. So let's make our way over to the auction house and see what we can pick up. Okay, so the price for sheep is 3,880 per sheep. It's not great, but it's still cheaper than they are as standard. They're normally 4,000 each. Now, the best time to buy sheep is the middle of autumn, and we missed that window, unfortunately. But the price does start to go back up from now on, and then hits its peak sort of towards the end of spring. So the longer we wait, the more we're going to have to pay. So today isn't too bad a price. As I say, it's below the traditional standard price. Now we want pigs, aren't we? We don't want pigs. Let's get those out. There we go, we want sheep. And we can carry 14. That's pretty good. That's more than we can buy pigs. We can then carry 13 pigs. So let's get the gate folded up. And our sheep loaded on there. And let's make our way over to the sheep farm. We are going to have to give them fresh water and some more hay as well. Luckily we have plenty of bales on hand, and we can always, as I say, with these additional numbers, if we start burning through our bales too quickly, we can always transfer some up from the main farm as well, because we do have quite a lot of hay bales there as well. So we make our way around. I did and ah about buying that field there, but in the end I decided it just wasn't worth the expense. We would never really do anything with that field, maybe just grass it over and combine it with the existing grass field, and don't really need those two fields. We've got plenty of land for crops. We've got plenty of land for grass with our recent acquisition of field 42, so we just don't need any more at all. Just going to start reversing and put these into the food trough for a second then. That's not where they go, obviously. They go in just here. So let's open the gates. Go. And we can unload our sheep. And we don't have to worry about... Oh, actually, no, because we didn't have any sheep as standard on the map. So yeah, these will go in at the right health. They'll be absolutely fine, I think. Oh, I don't know. Well, we'll see what happens. We should be okay, I think. Let me just do one, just to be on the safe side. And let's check the animal health, see if it's been affected. No, that's good. That's as it should be. So let's get the rest of them out there as well. They'll be fine now. Excellent stuff. So, that puts us on... How many does that put us on? Well, health has gone down, look, 91%. It has dipped a little bit. Okay, we can get away with that. We're on 84. So the next one will put us on 98. Let's try and aim for about 150 sheep. I think that'll be a nice, good number to start the year with. So, back we go to start transferring more livestock back to the farm. This is our fourth trailer of sheep, and this will be the last one. I mean, it was not going to get us to 150. I hadn't realised just how much these sheep were costing. 14 sheep costs me around $54,000. So, yeah, not cheap. But, you know, it has boosted our numbers significantly. And spring is lambing season as well. So, we will be able to breed quite a few new sheep. You know, as soon as spring starts, the breeding process will start, and will be faster as well, seeing as that we will have more sheep on the farm. So let's see what our final tally is going to be. 126. That's not too bad. Yeah, it would have been nice to get to 150, but that would require 2 more trips and put us definitely very much in debt. And having just cleared our loan, I'm in no hurry to go straight back into debt again. We've ended up spending about 100,000 more than I'd initially planned to as well, but we do still have all that silage at the BGA, which is probably about another 100 grand's worth in terms of income. So it's not a massive expense. It's not going to leave us with no money. And on top of that, we also, don't forget, have all those soybeans to sell in the summer, which is going to pay for our beet harvesting equipment. So we are still on an incredibly strong financial footing, and the orchard will kick in again from mid-spring onwards, and that will churn out up to 100,000 a day. So, yeah, financially now we are completely sorted. We may well add a number of cows over the summer as well, possibly. I don't know yet. We'll see how that goes. But yeah, I'm in no hurry to just, you know, ramp our debt all the way up again, having just cleared it. You know, this is the first time we've been debt-free since day one, I think. Yeah, even when we started the farm, I think we had about $300,000 of debt, if I remember rightly, and I can't remember if we ever cleared it at any point. I think we might have cleared it once in the very early days of the farm, and then immediately hammered it again. And ever since then, it's been a losing battle. The debt has just kept going up and up and up. We tried to keep it at around 500,000, and in the end, that just became too restrictive for our farm to expand the following year, and we had to kind of just throw that guideline out of the window and really start spending a little bit more than we initially budgeted for. But it's all worked out good. It's all come good. It's worked out for the best. We've been able to, we've spent a lot of money, but we've been able to make a lot more money in the process in terms of our grain sales, in terms of the crops that we can work with. We can get a lot more quantity of each type of crop now to really sort of spread our expense, well, not spread our expenses, spread our profitability around a bit. Stuck in here, there we go. We've also been able to invest in the orchard, which was very expensive to get set up, but is incredibly profitable, and that has been a godsend. And it's enabled us to buy a lot of equipment as well. If it wasn't for the loan being pushed out, there's no way we could have afforded to get a forage harvester and a second combine and a second truck, and pay for the quad track when we needed that on emergency hire at the beginning of the year. That cost us, what, 70 grand? I think it cost us in the end. It was not cheap. Not cheap at all. So, all those expenses, they cost us a lot, but the amount of money we've been able to make off the back of those expenses, more than paid for the pain of the loan and those interest payments going out every night, going up to over $6,000 per day at one point. Right, how much more do they need food wise? Oh, that's it, 3 bales. Wow. Well, that kind of ties in. A flock of around 150 sheep would need, on a regular farm without seasons, you'd obviously need to fill for 6 days rather than 3, and you would need probably between 6 to 7 bales. So they go through about a bale a day. We've got 126 sheep, and they're going through. Let's just close those down. There we go. They're going through a similar kind of ratio. They've gone through 3 bales, which is about a bale a day. So that's about right, I suppose. So there we go. Job done. We have added in a load more sheep. We have made some good progress turning our fields over, getting them ready for planting tomorrow, assuming that the temperatures hold up. And, we are debt-free. So it's been a very, very positive and very successful winter so far, and we'll actually get started early on our spring stuff tomorrow as well, given that it's a much warmer winter than we experienced last year. So yeah, been a very good day, a very good season all round, I think, and that's where we're going to end it for today. I'll carry on doing a little bit of digestate spreading in the background, and I'll probably run until about 8, 9 o'clock in the evening. And then see where we are from there, then pack everything up, and we'll attack the fields again tomorrow. So that's it from me. Thanks for watching. I am Jim Bob, and I'll be back with some more Lone Oak Farm very soon.